Absolutely. Why don't you read Lily's next?
Okay. Let's see. She said, there are white supremacists escalating these, causing the riots. It's police shooting tear gas and rubber bullets that are making it worse. You should have a degree. Oh, so she's saying you should have a degree to be a policeman, like a doctor. You should have to get like almost like a PhD to be a cop.
Okay. And I wonder if, I don't know if Lily knows what it takes to be a police officer. So I guess if she was sitting in front.
We all kind of guessed and we didn't know if she knew or I knew.
Sure. So if I was sitting in front of her, I would just say, well, tell me what it takes to be a police officer and how that it, how we could improve that. That's a question I'll ask, and I don't have the answer to either. And then also I would say that I would ask, like, what is the line? How far do you, if the police are, we're talking about a few bad apples in an institution that we absolutely need. I'm going to make an assumption here about Lillian and you guys and your lives. It's my suspicion you have never really lived in a place where you depend desperately on the police to be there when you
Probably me more than her, because I grew up in a very poor area of Oregon, a very small town, known for its meth usage, and there's a lot of crime. So we had to call the cops a couple times. We had stuff stolen out of our yard and stuff like that. I never encountered murder or anything like that, but I know that it happened regularly. But yeah, I grew up in a different culture than my kids are growing up in, because I grew up in low income housing, in a little dingy neighborhood. Churches bringing us food. My dad's homeless. So yeah, but yeah, not her.
And the same for us. Same for my kids also, by the way. But I tend to think that is a point of view that comes from people who have never had to live in an area where the police are sometimes the only thing standing between you and absolute ruin or death. So there are a few bad apples, but that doesn't mean that the institution of policing is bad. And police officers aren't a uniform. They're people too. And so if there are people throwing things, trying to set them on fire, trying to beat them up, if there are people trying to hurt innocent people, I would ask her to go look at some of the videos of people getting beaten in the streets, some to death. Yeah. Are the police supposed to stand by? There are sometimes violence has to be combated with violence. That's the only way. I lived in an area. It's why I'm actually pro Second Amendment to this day, when I used to be very anti-gun, because I lived in an area where it was very dangerous and I was alone with 2 kids. My husband was off here in California for work and for 4 months. And it was just me and the kids in the middle of the hood. And we were having a rash of violent break-ins on our street, like the kind where they were taking old people and dragging them into the street and beating them to a pulp. It was just terrible. And so that was when I realized, okay, I have to be able to protect myself. But there has to be some kind of law and order, because if we aren't committed to protecting each other from violence, then that's chaos. That's anarchy. And a free society cannot operate on anarchy. We can't.
And I don't know if she knows any cops personally. I know I grew up in the neighborhood. Some of my friends became cops. I just knew cops, and there's a few people I know who, very well, they were cops. So it at least helps them humanify. Sure, that's humanize. That's it. Humanize them.
I can sound smart now. It's humanize. We threw the stuff in the thing.
Hey,
what we humanized. I would also thank Lily for but the underlying sentiment of that is that it's hurting her to see people speaking up and being seeming like they're being punished for that, but that's actually not what's happening. There are people in the streets who are protesting, and there are people in the streets who are rioting, and they're different people.
Yeah, I mean, you see just some of the footage of buildings are burning, people are being beaten up. There's things, just rocks being thrown. Yeah. It's mayhem, and I haven't heard of I assume there have been some cops shooting, actual shooting at people. I mean, I'm kind of amazed at the amount of restraint. Yeah, so I think
that's another word.
Well, what we're witnessing now is a lot of police officers just refusing.
A lot of them are quitting, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't blame them at
Who
this
wants
point.
to be a cop right now?
No, that you're truly a special person if you want to be a cop right now, because now you're going to be held accountable for everything when your job is life-threatening every day. And cops are people. Let's remember, this is one of my appeals in the racial reconciliation conversation that I'm always having, is that when we stop looking at the other person, whoever that other person is, the cop, your neighbor, your classmate, when we stop looking at that conservative, a liberal, we stop looking at that person as a human being, as a purposefully created human being who has value totally outside of whatever their political views are, whatever their background was. Once we stop looking at that person as a human being, then we have necessarily precluded ourselves from being a part of the solution, because we're otherizing the people that we're supposed to be bonding with, that we're supposed to be finding solutions with together. Police are part of our community too. We need to find solutions with them, not against them.
If every human being in the world could accidentally get stuck on an elevator for a couple hours, trapped, and they'd have to get to know each other, just rotate out till we all do it, the world would have perfect harmony, probably.
Reality show.
Probably. Is that your theory?
Yeah.
Is that your probably?
Probably is my theory.
I don't know.
Is that a reality show already?
That's a great reality show.
That would be a great reality show.
So you have a million seasons.
I would love it.
Yeah.
I would love to do a reality show where they set up like Ben Shapiro and like who's like a far left, somebody like Bill Maher or something. I don't know. I guess they'd talk. They'd probably get along actually.
Reasonable.
Yeah, too reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they get trapped in the elevator for like 12 hours.
And a transgender teenager or something.
Yeah,
Maybe.
something. Yeah. But yeah, just like people that you want to see what happens.
And he would absolutely clobber them.
They can't come out until they're friends.
Oh, geez. I mean, there's some truly awful people out there. Let's not pretend that everyone's a human being, but some human beings are grosser than others.
Yeah, what, Hitler?
Yeah, what about Hitler?
You going
to stay in that elevator with Hitler?
He'd probably have some funny stories.
Oh, my God.
Flower bag.
Okay,
moving on.
Black Lives Matter. All in. She's all in. And also my 10-year-old son, all in. He's got the t-shirt.
Yes, my daughter too.
On board.
Who happens to be black, by the way.
And if you're not all in, you're racist. So
right. So we've set up.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, we've set up.
Because you're at least 50% black.
At least.
Because you look black. I don't know.
Again, I guess I would hearken back to what I was saying earlier, which is once we stop looking at people as people and start looking at them as a label, whether that label is gay, whether that label is suburban housewife, whether that label is black or white, when we bestow people with labels, we make it harder to view them as people. So I think at the heart of Lily being all in and your son and my daughter, which my daughter gets a lot of these ideas from TikTok and Instagram. I try to avoid politics in her home. I want her to find her own way, but I'm realizing other people are going to be talking to her about this anyway. So I've got to jump in there and take the lead. I think the sentiment behind it is I care. I want to see equality, and that I like. But again, there is a difference between saying, hey, I believe that we haven't been compassionate enough towards Black lives in American politics, and I want to change that. I want to be part of the solution. There's a difference between saying that and saying that if you don't see everything the way I see it, then you are inherently evil. We're setting up some very dangerous dichotomies here moving forward. Because the thing is that Lily will find out as she grows up that she will not be able to escape that category as well. When her kids get to be your age, Ethan, she will be the one who's out of step with culture. Right now, it seems inconceivable to her and to us even. Like, how much further can we go? It seems inconceivable, but that is just the nature of time, of progression of time. She will be the intolerant one at some point. So you have to understand that the rules you set up for other people, Lily, will be the rules that will apply to you as well. And the subject won't always be the same.